Something that's been very popular throughout the Legion community and especially on Twitch are actually Mythic Plus dungeons. Now I think that's because of raiding. There's really only so much you can do in raids. There's really not a whole lot of coordination that has to happen for Mythic Plus dungeons since there's only 5 people, and honestly they're just pretty fun. So I've actually had a lot of fun doing this. As you can see on the screen right now, I just finished my 9 Dark Heart Thicket, and I'm going to be jumping into my level 10 Arcway to finish that up for the week. I'm actually going to do that right after this video, but I do want to take a moment to talk about the top 3 AoE DPS specs that are available right now, and like will give you an advantageous class on your team and your team comp to be able to defeat those AoE dungeons, or be able to have that AoE damage in general, right? Because I think that there's a lot of people out there, and it's cool if you want to just play with your friends. I totally understand that. But if you're looking to really progress, if you're looking to get out of those Mythic 2s, Mythic 3s, Mythic 4s, and get into the higher levels of Mythic 9, 10, or even upwards of 15, then you're going to really have to pick which classes you're going to take and why you're going to take them. So a lot of people take AoE DPS classes because they offer a lot of trash kills, and trash is probably the hardest thing to do in the instances right now at higher levels. Like trash mobs, like huge packs, or getting that kill count, whatever it is, it takes a lot of work. So as for the 3 DPS specs, I know I've taken a little bit of time to do this intro, but the thing is that I want to offer at least how I'm getting this information. So I have researched this with other top end raiders that have been able to read the data behind the real Warcraft logs, which basically take all the data that's happening in the game. And I've been able to read that and determine what I believe are those top 3 specs. And the very first one that I want to jump into is going to be the Windwalker Monk. So Windwalker Monk, ever since the beta and alpha, has always been a strong class. They've really come up very far since the previous expansions. And Windwalker Monk, especially for AoE damage in Mythic Dungeons, they offer a huge amount of AoE DPS with their Serenity Burst and the spinning crane kick and Serenity combo type thing. But on top of that, they also have something called Fist of Fury, which is like an AoE stun, but also does a huge amount of damage because you can stack up these damage bonuses, damage modifiers, and then use your Fist of Fury, and it's a huge amount of AoE damage. But not only can you do that Serenity Burst with the Spinning Crane Kick or the Fist of Fury, but you also have Leg Sweep, which is a utility spell. It's like an AoE 5-second stun, which is very, very useful for Mythic Dungeons. You know, one thing that people really struggle with is obviously just staying alive in Mythic Dungeons versus huge trash packs in any dungeon. So having that Leg Sweep is very, very valuable because you're able to stun them whenever things get too rough and you need your healer to catch up. So that's why I think Windwalker is so great with all of those combining factors, especially since Serenity is on such a low cooldown. You can get that damage out very quickly. The next one is actually going to be the most popular class right now for all of Mythic Dungeons. This class specifically had, I think, over double the amount of the second ranking class in terms of how many of these this class was being brought to Mythic Dungeons in general, that have completed level 10 keys and up, and that's going to be the Fire Mage, which is actually what I play. So with Fire Mage, you have an insane amount of damage in general. It's probably the strongest Mythic Dungeon class out there right now because Fire Mage offers the probably the most amount of AoE damage available in the game, with stuff like Living Bomb, Cinderstorm, Dragon's Breath, or Flame Strikes. There's a lot that you can do, especially with Phoenix Flames, the Ignite spreading. There's so much damage to be had as a Fire Mage. And not only that, but Fire Mages also have a huge amount of mobility, so they can kite if necessary. And they also have this crazy just this it's really just coming down to damage. If you just think about it, it comes down to damage, and especially with combustion, it's also a lower cooldown, so that helps out for everything involved. Since combustion's on a lower cooldown, you can use it more frequently in Mythic Dungeons as opposed to Surrender for Madness for Shadow Priest, which is a longer cooldown and also has a pretty big failure for using that. So that's why obviously you die at the end, which you couldn't spam that all the time for trash packs. So that's why Fire Mage looks a little bit better, but it really just comes down to the damage, and Fire Mages are doing very well right now. And I do want to bring it back into my very last class of this video, and that's going to be the Marksman Hunter. So the Marksman Hunter, again, has a huge amount of AoE damage, but the thing about Marksman Hunter is that their cooldowns, like they're really not reliant on their cooldowns. Like with fire mages, you really do have to have combustion to do a lot of damage, and with windwalkers, you have to have serenity to do a huge amount of damage. And a lot of classes out there require their big cooldowns in order to do a lot. But with marksman hunter, you can seriously just walk up, you can barrage a bunch of targets, you can get those mark shots off. You really don't need a whole lot for marksman hunter to thrive, and their damage is pretty high overall right now anyways. So being able to just like walk up and do damage without cooldowns and not have to worry about any of that stuff, and not have to like time all of that, it really does go a long ways. And marksman hunter, in all honesty, is probably one of the easier classes to play for mythic dungeons as well. So definitely be sure to check those classes out, guys. If you do have those available to you, these are very, very fun classes to play, and they're also very great to take on mythic dungeons. I actually play mostly with like a demon hunter, I play with a windwalker monk, and I play with a fire mage always, because obviously I'm a fire mage. But usually, like in every mythic dungeon I've been to, I've really never had a high mythic dungeon not have a fire mage in it. So, but again, I know that this is specifically just to say that there are the three, like in my opinion, the top 3 classes for AoE damage. There are tons of other classes that work nearly as well, okay? So I'm not trying to discredit any other classes, I'm just giving my opinion on what works best. And I think that if you want to play Ellie Shaman, for example, do it. If you want to play Ret Paladin, do it. Like, there really isn't a you have to play this class in order to succeed. I'm just trying to bring more light upon classes that I think will have a better chance of succeeding. So again, totally up to you. Play what you would like to, but I did want to offer my opinion. So thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't already, I'm actually giving away 2 of these HyperX headsets on my website. It's the first link in the description, cartoons.tv. So be sure to go enter and to win one of these. And like this video if you have not already, and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for future stuff. I'm actually going to be doing the top 3 single target DPS classes tomorrow, which will be a little bit different than this video specifically. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you all in the next one.